first thing we're gonna do, we just got set up. We just got all of our stuff in the tree. My bow's ready, Derek's ready, all his stuff's ready. Arrow nocked, release, binos are ready. Rangefinder is now ready. So now, the first thing Derek's gonna do, which he's already done, he's got his earbuds in, he's got exposure pulled on me. The first thing I'm gonna do, instinctually, or if he asks me, is he's gonna ask me for a setup. This is all the things I would do. I'm speaking vicariously through Derek, as if I was Derek and filming. But here's what we're gonna do. First thing I would ask for is a setup. All right, it's our first afternoon in Kansas. We got to hunt this morning. We saw a really good deer. We didn't get him on camera, but we've moved another 15 minutes, so an hour north of camp, to a new spot that they're getting trail cam pictures of 2 really good deer. There's standing beans and cut beans right here, and we're right here on the edge of a big river bottom. So we're in the only timber around except for about 400 yards across the way, and we're praying. It's November the 5th, so we're praying they're pushing does or just working this river bottom looking for does, and we get a shot. So that is the plan. And we're gonna be here till we get it done, or until somebody calls us or we gotta go to work. So let's go. Okay, so now I just gave a fairly long setup, but Derek as the producer, or myself as the producer, what did you hear? November the 5th, or it's actually the 6th, I messed that up, it's okay. It's November the 6th. I talked about standing beans, I talked about river bottom, I talked about the river, talked about timber on the other side, I talked about the weather. So now that I've talked about all of those things, it is now your job as a producer. Now it's Derek's job to go get B-roll for every one of those things that I mentioned. So now he needs to get shots of beans, shots of the river bottom, shots of their water, shots of that cut bean field, shots of the timber across the way. And now, when you go back to edit that, I now have every piece of that puzzle that I talked about. Instead of it being a talking head, I have all those pieces to where now I probably talk for 45 seconds to a minute. If I have those B-roll pieces, I can shorten that talk, or I can lengthen that talk if I wanted to. But if I don't get those shots, if I don't get that B-roll, I won't have that. The next shot he's gonna get is he's gonna get a big wide panning shot, essentially a bird's eye view of what our setup looks like. Once he gets that shot, then he's gonna start picking off products. Arrow fletches, nocks, bags, bows, broadheads, binos, eyes, hands, all the details. And he's gonna hold those shots for about 10 good seconds. Because once he gets 15 shots that are 10 seconds long, now we can build our story. We can montage through it. We can get more talking. If something happens, I can talk to the camera again. And now again, we've got those B-roll shots that can speed up talking, slow down talking, speed up our story, slow down our story. All right, now, when the light goes down, or the light changes, or a cloud rolls in, we've got to go through and we've got to pick off B-roll shots again, because the light's not going to match. So now Derek's got to get to work getting all those shots. Go. All right, it's our first afternoon in Kansas. We've moved another 15 minutes, so an hour north of camp, to a new spot that they're getting trail cam pictures of 2 really good deer. There's standing beans and cut beans right here, and we're right here on the edge of a big river bottom. So we're in the only timber around except for about 400 yards across the way, and we're praying. It's November the 5th, so we're praying they're pushing does or just working this river bottom looking for does, and we get a shot. And we're gonna be here till we get it done, or until somebody calls us or we gotta go to work. So let's go. This is the opportunity you have when you get the B-roll to be creative. You don't just get shots to get shots. We push to the end of our lens, we use the light, we use our camera arm if we have one, to add motion, to add focus pulse, to add push to focus, or what are they called? To add rack focuses, to add all those things in as we're getting these B-roll shots. Another thing that I recommend you do, even if you're doing high production value stuff like we're doing when we're doing Lee and Tiffany or other shows that we're doing, is running a second angle. And here's also a little tip. everybody's got a ton of koozies. They're really good for keeping your lens from getting beat up in your pack, and the lens cover or the screen on the back from getting beat up. So always keep up with those. But what we're gonna do with this, there's lots of cool creative things you can do with this. Live cutaways, time lapses, obviously second angles for a different look. But I'm gonna set this up over here on this other side because there's nowhere else to set it up in this tree. I'm gonna have it looking back at me. I recommend if you're gonna buy a second angle, buy a DJI Osmo Action. Don't buy a GoPro because GoPro sucks. Heard it here first. These work, they do what they're supposed to do. They come on, they hold a charge, they don't corrupt cards. They're holding, they do the basic functions a second angle's supposed to do. They have a front-facing camera, which they've had for a lot longer than GoPro has, but love this thing. And I think they're like $200. So we'll set this up because it'll give us a whole nother angle. And again, it'll give us shots to lengthen or shorten our story. Oh, actually, you have a spot to put it right here. Done. It's the end of the night, so beginning, middle, end. Told Derek I was like, get a shot of the moon and get a close out for me. So here's your close. First evening is in the books. Saw one little forker and a bunch of coons, and heard a bunch of coyotes, but that's about it. So I didn't bring enough clothes.